There's a garden that feeds itself forever. No soil, no watering, no weeding, no fertilizer. You set it up once in 5 minutes, and it produces fresh vegetables every single day for years. This isn't some modern invention or expensive technology. Indigenous peoples perfected this system over 1,000 years ago. The Aztecs fed entire cities with floating gardens that required zero maintenance. Today, billion-dollar hydroponic companies sell you complicated systems that do exactly what your ancestors did with sticks and stones. Why don't you know about this? Because a garden that feeds itself forever doesn't sell fertilizer, doesn't sell seeds every season, doesn't sell anything ever again. The agriculture industry buried this knowledge so deep that most people think growing food requires digging, watering, and buying inputs every month. They were wrong. Welcome to where we uncover what they wanted you to forget. If this is your first time here, subscribe and hit the bell, because we're about to reveal knowledge that can make you completely food independent. Let me show you how to build a garden that works while you sleep. The system I'm talking about is called aquaponics, but that fancy name hides something much simpler. It's just fish and plants helping each other survive, exactly like they do in every river, lake, and pond on Earth. Fish produce waste. Bacteria convert that waste into plant food. Plants clean the water for the fish. It's a perfect circle that runs itself forever. But here's what the industry doesn't want you to know. You don't need expensive pumps, complicated filters, or scientific knowledge to make this work. You need a container, some fish, some plants, and 5 minutes to set it up. That's it. Everything else is marketing designed to sell you things you don't need. The Aztecs understood this perfectly. In the lakes around their capital city, they built chinampas, floating gardens that fed millions of people. These weren't primitive farms. They were the most productive agricultural system ever created. 1 square meter of chinampa produced more food than 10 square meters of regular farmland. No fertilizer, no irrigation, no soil depletion. Just fish waste feeding plants, plants cleaning water, and abundant food growing year-round. When Spanish conquistadors arrived, they couldn't believe what they saw. Gardens floating on water, producing vegetables bigger and more nutritious than anything in Europe. They called it witchcraft because they couldn't understand how plants grew without soil. The Aztecs tried to explain, but the Spanish had already decided their way was better. They drained the lakes, destroyed the chinampas, and forced indigenous people to farm European style with plows and animals. In less than 50 years, the most productive agricultural system in human history was completely erased. Not because it didn't work, but because it didn't fit the European model of land ownership and control. You can't tax floating gardens. You can't force people to buy seeds and tools if their garden feeds itself. So they destroyed it and replaced it with a system that required constant inputs and generated constant profits. But the knowledge survived in hidden corners. In Bangladesh, floating gardens still feed families during flood season. In Myanmar, farmers grow vegetables on water when land floods make soil farming impossible. In Mexico, a few elderly farmers still remember how their grandfathers built chinampas. The system never stopped working, it was just forgotten by the modern world. Now let me show you how to build your own 5-minute aquaponic garden. You don't need a degree in biology or thousands of dollars in equipment. You need things you can find at any hardware store for less than $50. This system will produce fresh vegetables and fish protein forever with almost zero maintenance. Start with 2 containers. 1 large container for fish, 1 smaller container for plants. The fish container can be a plastic storage tub, an old bathtub, even a large bucket. Size depends on how much food you want to grow. Bigger container means more fish waste, more plant food, bigger harvest. For a family of 4, a 50-gallon container works perfectly. Fill the fish container with water and let it sit for 24 hours. Tap water contains chlorine that kills fish, but chlorine evaporates if you wait 1 day. Add your fish. Goldfish work great because they're nearly indestructible and produce lots of waste. You can also use tilapia if you want to eat the fish, but goldfish are easier for beginners. Now for the plant container. This sits above or beside the fish tank. Fill it with expanded clay pebbles, gravel, or even broken pottery pieces. Anything that gives plant roots something to grab onto. No soil needed. The plant roots will grow down into the water, where fish waste provides all the nutrients they need. Connect the 2 containers with a simple pump and some tubing. The pump moves water from the fish tank up to the plant container. Gravity brings the water back down to the fish. That's it. The entire system runs on one small pump that uses less electricity than a light bulb. Plant your vegetables directly in the growing medium. Lettuce, spinach, herbs, tomatoes, peppers, anything grows faster in this system than in soil. The plants get constant nutrition from fish waste, constant water, and their roots never compete with weeds or soil pests. Growth rates are incredible. Lettuce that takes 2 months in soil grows in 3 weeks in aquaponics. The fish are happy because plants clean their water better than any filter. The plants are happy because they get perfect nutrition delivered directly to their roots. You're happy because you never water, never fertilize, never weed, and harvest fresh food every day. It's the closest thing to a perpetual motion machine that actually works. But here's the secret the hydroponic industry desperately doesn't want you to know. Their expensive systems do exactly what this simple setup does, just with more plastic, more electronics, and more ways to break down. They sell you nutrient solutions that cost hundreds of dollars when fish waste works better and costs nothing. They sell you pH meters and testing kits when fish and plants naturally balance the water chemistry themselves. The industry has convinced people that growing food without soil requires scientific precision and expensive equipment. That's completely false. Fish have been fertilizing aquatic plants for millions of years without human intervention. The system balances itself if you don't interfere with complicated gadgets and chemical additives. Your 5-minute aquaponic garden will produce food faster, cleaner, and more reliably than any soil garden. No weather problems because it works indoors or outdoors. No pest problems because soil pests can't survive in water. No disease problems because flowing water prevents the stagnant conditions where plant diseases develop. No fertilizer costs because fish waste is the perfect plant food. No water waste because the same water circulates forever. The fish waste contains nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and dozens of trace minerals that plants need. It's released slowly and naturally, exactly when plants need it. Chemical fertilizers dump massive amounts of nutrients all at once, then disappear, forcing you to buy more. Fish waste feeds plants continuously for as long as fish are alive. This system produces 2 types of food from the same space: fresh vegetables from the plants and protein from the fish, if you choose edible species. One container feeding your family vegetables and fish year-round. Try doing that with a traditional garden. The maintenance is almost zero. Feed the fish once a day. That's it. The fish eat, produce waste. Bacteria convert waste to plant food. Plants use the nutrients and clean the water. The cycle runs itself. No weeding because there's no soil for weeds. No watering because water recirculates. No fertilizing because fish do it automatically. You can build this system in an apartment, a basement, a garage, anywhere with a little light. It works in winter when outdoor gardens are dead. It works in drought when water restrictions kill soil gardens. It works in floods when soil gardens wash away. It's the most resilient food production system ever developed. The Aztecs fed millions of people with this technology using nothing but human ingenuity and natural processes. Today we have electric pumps and plastic containers that make it even easier. Yet most people struggle to grow a tomato plant in their backyard because they've been convinced that growing food is difficult and requires constant inputs. That's the lie the agriculture industry needs you to believe. If everyone knew how easy it is to grow abundant food with no soil, no fertilizer, and no maintenance, the entire system of agricultural dependence would collapse. Seed companies would lose customers who save seeds from their own plants. Fertilizer companies would lose customers who use fish waste instead of chemicals. Garden centers would lose customers who build their own self-sustaining systems. So they buried the knowledge and replaced it with complicated, expensive alternatives that keep you buying products forever. But now you know the truth. A 5-minute setup that feeds you forever isn't a fantasy. It's ancient technology that works better than anything modern agriculture has invented. Your ancestors knew how to feed themselves without depending on corporations or supply chains. They built systems that worked with nature instead of fighting against it. That knowledge was almost lost, but it's not gone. Every time someone builds an aquaponic garden, they're recovering wisdom that sustained civilizations for thousands of years. If this opened your eyes to what's possible, hit like so more people can discover this forgotten knowledge. Subscribe because we're uncovering more buried secrets that could change how you think about food, farming, and independence. Share this with someone who's tired of buying expensive vegetables that travel thousands of miles to reach their table. The 5-Minute Garden that feeds you forever isn't just about growing food. It's about remembering that humans survived and thrived for millennia without industrial agriculture. It's about reclaiming the knowledge they tried to erase. It's about building systems that work for you instead of systems that require you to work for them. Your food independence starts with understanding that nature already solved every agricultural problem long before corporations existed. The solutions are simple, effective, and available to anyone willing to remember what we forgot.